All right, well, good evening. Good to be with the few of us that are able to make it tonight. We are in season 2, episode 8, which is also the final grand finale for season 2. We're really picking up where we left off last week. We've had the inner revelatory questioning and backsliding of Mary, but we've really seen the same events happening in the groupings of the disciples. You know, the infighting, the backbiting, the difficulties, the questioning, the kind of power struggle between them, especially with the introduction of the radical right that's come in the form of the assassination attempt last week, and the new member of a disciple. So it's I think that what we're seeing as we move forward in the season is the coming together. You know, the first season was the gathering together, and the second season is the coming together, where people are pushing through their own thing, their own fears, their own doubts, their own assumptions of the way this is supposed to be with the Messiah, what the Messiah is, how am I supposed to be with the Messiah, who is the Messiah, really thinking it's going to continue on. It's got to reach a fever pitch at some point. We're not quite there yet. I think we're still building up to it. So maybe this will be the big grand finale, and in that part of the story, not too sure. We're going to look at it in 2 nights. This session and one more. It's a 53 minute section. So we're going to watch half of it tonight. And I think if I have this right, we're going to go to about 33 minutes, I think is about right. I think they're right around, there's a natural breaking point. So if you're watching with us and you're going to go away right now and watch half of it, it is after Jesus is speaking with Matthew privately. And then their discussion ends and there's an immediate break. I think it's around 33. So I'll give that a shot. Go watch it, and we'll get back together in a few minutes. Okay, hope we're all back together. So it was right at 33. What do you think of that? I didn't plan that. That was so totally cool. Okay, so we have a lot going on. What did you think? What caught you in this one? This is it has a different flow to it. At least it does for me.
This whole episode was a preparation.
Yeah.
The whole thing, from the 2 people who seemed like scam artists trying to sell property, whatever they were doing,
yep,
to the disciples going around advertising the thing, and to Jesus on doing his preparation on the mount for his sermon, wherever it's going to be.
Yep.
whole episode was preparation. Well, half of it.
And I think we'll learn the next episode next week why this place with this guy, with this owner, you know, this land was no trespassing, right? Or you'll be prosecuted. Why would Jesus want to make this the location of the Sermon on the Mount? So, I don't know yet. We'll figure that out. It's interesting that they put that in there, because, you know, nothing in this show, and just like nothing in the gospel, goes without a purpose. There's everything that Jesus has a purpose and intention that is beyond the hearing. We think we know what he's saying because we hear it the first time or the second or the fifth, and we know what it means. But when you hear it for the 500th or the 5,000th time, or when the Spirit hits you correctly, you suddenly hear or see a meaning beneath the meaning that you just didn't know was there before. So all of these things, I like how the disciples are reflecting that when they're looking and they're saying, it seems like he already knows where this is going to be. You know, they're catching on that even though they don't know and they're going looking, he knows that there's something more happening that they are just beginning to be aware of and trust. And I think that's a huge component of the story, isn't it? What's happening between the disciples that's been carrying on for the last couple?
There's some good.
Keep arguing amongst themselves, but yet when they go out to do his work. They're in tune with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't seem to trust each other.
Yeah.
And at a certain level, they don't trust themselves.
They don't think that the others are doing enough, seems like.
But when they get together to do it, when it finally hits the road and they're doing it for him, all the trust is there.
All works out.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're just afraid that one of them is going to come up short and going to fail the rabbi.
Which is that human side, right? Just who we are. So it started in an interesting place, was this shyster land deal. Pretty sad.
The whole thing seems shady.
Yeah, very cheeky. So it looks like what's happened when we hear when we find the conversation in the bar, in the diner, whatever you want to call that place, that the guy knew that there's salt on this land. So he's had to have been there before and scoped it out. And the whole thing about the tombs is just made up.
Yeah, that's what I figured after a bit. They just wanted mine for minerals.
Yeah, and this man is the head of the tribe of Reuben. This is Reuben's land. He's the only person that can sell Reuben's land, is the head of the tribe of Reuben. So he is the patriarch of the tribe of Reuben. He's the big guy. And as he said, this is worthless land. You know, it doesn't grow anything. It's rocky. It's not worth having. That's why I'm saying, what do you want with it? This is trash land. And it seems to be all going very smoothly with the whole, the ridiculous, I mean, come on now. The ridiculous, we're going to build a tombed, middle-class tomb graveyard out here in the middle of freaking nowhere, miles and miles away from the city. Yeah, right. You know what?
Yeah, no.
But even in this case, you see the allure. It's the money. So the Reubens, the patriarch of the tribe of Reuben, is seduced eventually by, you know, there are misgivings, you know, and he has that thing. What he's agreeing on a price, and he says, "What if there's copper under the ground? What if there's iron, lead?" And the little apprentice says, "Or salt." So it gets them more money. 10 years. I mean, did you hear that? That's 10 years worth of wages. So he's going to be a super rich man. 10 years of wages. That's unbelievable. And he stalls in that moment because the guy says, "Come on, let's write up a covenant." And remember, the screen went back and he started tapping his walking stick on the ground, and he said, "What's the matter?" And he said, I just remember Abraham. Remember Abraham. So that bears a moment of inquiry. What is he talking about? Well, the agreement or the partnership that is struck by God between God's self and Abraham is, of course, the first great covenant, right? So we have this covenant with God for all the people that come after him. And God says that the land that I give you is my land that I give you. And Reuben is now in the process of selling God's land given to Reuben and selling it to Simeon. Simeon is the lesser tribe. That's why I said, I'm not going to sell my land to the little brother. He's the younger brother in the pecking order. He's really talking about the covenant is relationship. All of Israel's covenants is our relationships. That's what covenant really is. It's not just a legal tender or agreement. It is an acknowledgement of a relationship. And the relationship is binding at a level that is deeper than simply a legal manuscript. We used to have this in the United States, this unspoken covenantal relationship with one another. And it didn't require a legal contract, but it was more binding because it dealt in honor. So men would get together, I'm guessing women get together, and they would put out their hand. And when you shook hands, your honor, you had a relationship now, not just what we are doing, but my honor, what I hold most dear in me, is now mingled with your honor, what you hold most dear in you. And you and I are not going to endanger our honor. So we shake on it. And you know, I love the old movies when I used to see them. We don't see them anymore, right? The old movies would come around every year, and sometimes it'd be a Western and something you'd watch. And the guys would be like, I'm not sure about this, not sure about this. And then at some point, one of the guys would say, let's shake on it. And it just stops everything. The other guy thinks about it for a minute, and what he's thinking about is, this has to be a real thing, because this man is not going to put his hand out and say, let's shake on it, if it isn't. And so now it's to me. And when I put my hand out and we join this together, something is created. It's a covenant. It's a relationship between us. And we are bound by it, you know, hook and nail, spirit and soul. So this is based on this covenantal relationship we find in the Old Testament that was given to Abraham and passed on between God and God's people. And this is what Reuben is reflecting on. And now this covenant is being sold for 49 shekels. And he's lamenting, you know, is this the loss of a tradition? Is this the, you know, is this what it's really all come down to? No. And then I love the idea that when we're moving forward from here, you're talking about relationship between God and the patriarch and the tribe of Reuben, which is kind of bending right now. We're talking about the relationship in the bar between the shyster guy and the apprentice, which is bending right now, right? The apprentice is trying to find a depth. He feels bad about the salt mine. He's trying to find a depth to his life. The shyster guy is trying to tool him back in. And how does he stop the young guy from carrying on?
Yeah, some money. Let's
Give them
take
money,
some
yeah.
time off.
Bag of money, right? The money is being put up as collateral against the covenant, against the relationship. You don't need to look any deeper into this relationship thing where you think you want your life to mean more. Your life does mean more. Look, here you go. Take this money. It means more than the covenant, because this money will give you whatever you want. And you realize that the money that he's receiving that gives him whatever he wants is not giving him a relationship. The money is giving him his own self. He gets to be the man. So he's trading. And now we also know that the scripture says, Jesus says that mammon is this horrible thing. This is money. This is the root of all evil, right? Because it draws the person into themselves and away from the covenant, away from the relationship. So what do we do in the United States? We lost the handshake. The corrupt guy, he doesn't care about honor anymore. He doesn't care about a relationship anymore. So he starts shaking hands with everybody. And the guy who does care about honor thinks he's entering into an honorable relationship. So he's on the line. But this guy is just going to cheat him for the money. That's all he cares about. And this led to this great expanding octopus of legal processes where you sell something and you have a 27-page document that to just do the same thing that 50 and 60 and 70 years ago guys stuck out their hands and got done. Because the covenant's been sold. Covenant's gone. So this is Jesus. Now we move. Moving to the disciples, right? They're doing the same thing. They're talking about relationship. They're talking about the covenant. They're doing it in a different way, different word, trying to go back to what they believe is right and good. But they are also dealing a little bit in themselves with their own currency. It may not be cash, but the currency is what they can spend or what that they receive from their effort. So we saw this happening in the past, didn't we? When the sons of thunder were tilling the field, their labor, they thought, by doing this labor, their labor bought them a special place in the crowd, in the group. They had a special relationship, but they were going to be in charge. So they're really using their gifts and their abilities as a currency, not looking at it as a relationship, as something else. So it was a corrupted process. So Jesus is really tearing this back down again, tearing away. Did you get the comment about oh my gosh, about the Levite? What's his name? James. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the Levite. Or not the Levite. Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking. It's the assassin.
The zealot.
Zealot, thank you. Holy smoke.
Simon.
Yeah, so he comes back into camp and he's got his shirt, he's got a half shirt on. And what is the accusation that is made about him about his exercise? They say you
What he said.
exercise. It seems very Greek.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, he's like, you're doing way too much exercise. It's turned ugly. It's not about. There's no beauty in this. This is Greek. The Greek thing is the worship. And what do Greeks do? They worship the body. The Adonis. The
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
They're saying this is what you're about. So he is leveraging his strength, his dexterity, his ability. That's why he comes later on and says, I'm going to do the security. And of course, Peter gets a little ruffled and goes, "No, I got that covered."
That's my thing.
That's my thing. So it's pushing back against this. And what were they all upset about when Jesus left with Matthew? That he left with Matthew.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, he was off with Matthew. Why didn't he take us with us? Why is he always taking Matthew? What's going on with Matthew? So there's this.
Well, Matthew needed the most help out of all of them.
Yeah.
And I like the way he's always like a secretary. Every time Jesus calls him, he runs with his little pad.
Yep.
Ready to take notes.
The guys are not thinking, are they? And they don't think about this about the women either. They're not thinking Jesus is taking Matthew because Matthew needs to be taken. They're saying Jesus is taking Matthew. Why? He should be taking me.
They're sliding us.
So they're still in this me sort of thing. And remember now, I thought about it when it was going on, that Jesus is truly confused about the Sermon on the Mount. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I think he would be confused.
He knows what to say. Maybe that's not the right order to say it in.
Well, remember, everything he does is a teaching moment, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Maybe he's teaching himself.
Or allowing Matthew
Oh, yeah.
to teach. Matthew's the one's coming back saying, what about this and this and this whole thing? So when Matthew.
Well, he did say that he took Matthew because he knows he's going to give him honest feedback.
Yeah.
Matthew's not one to hold back what he's thinking.
Yeah, and then there's this very powerful line, which of course is through the gospel. This is, I can tell you, when I've sat with other clergy, this has come up with different words, and it is so often downplayed. It's very disturbing to me, actually. I love the phrase he said, "I want a revolution, not revolt." That was brilliant. And the second one, "I don't want passive followers."
Yeah, I like that.
That whole thing, saying, listen to the words that I'm saying and see how visceral they really are. I mean, this is, every one of these things is an action thing. This isn't just a metaphor for something else. This is a real thing. We're doing the book of Revelation on the Bible study. And this is, when I read the commentaries, there's such, it's all over the map. It's all over the map. And there's so many right moments in all of these different people saying these things. But there is one place where it goes where there's a division, and that is where there's a lot of preachers or Bible teachers that say, this is all metaphor. This is all metaphor. We have to understand the metaphor. The problem with that is it takes away what the literalists are saying on the other side too much. And the literalists are saying this is absolutely, everything about this is to the dot, to be taken literally. which is too far. The place we have in the middle is the place where you look at this and you realize that while this has a metaphorical meaning for my spirit and my mind and my soul, there is also the tangible logistical purpose, which is for my body and for my action, because it has to be acted upon. I cannot be a passive contributor or a passive journey person. I can't be riding along this thing as a passive guest. I have to be an active participant in it. It's just required. The telling of the story demands it. And this is what Jesus is saying in the gospel. I don't want passive followers. I want active people that are invested and are moving. I'm going to use words, the stories, the metaphors and the stories. I'm going to use these to enlighten the heart and the mind and the spirit. But I'm going to use these other words that say, you've got to go do it. That you can't be passive. You learn from these and you're enlightened. And from these, you take the inspiration to go. So it's like, yeah, do that. Well, then I know we're at the end now, but just getting back to this last thing with Shmuel. Oh my gosh. So the guy's in over his head. I mean, he's lost himself so completely, hasn't he?
Oh yeah.
As a student of Nicodemus, as somebody who really cared about the law because it honored God. And now
He's taken it to extreme.
Oh, this guy,
He's like a shyster too.
oh man, Shimon, he's a zealot, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's as far off the reservation as anybody can get. And he's using all this manipulation in the crowd to whip up everybody in a flurry and a frenzy, and then withhold information so at the last minute he can spring. It's completely politics, 100% for himself. Yeah. He says it's for God. That's not for him. Remember,
stuff hasn't changed in 2,000 years.
He said the house of Shammai will fall and the house of Shimon will rise. That's what this is for. It's all for him.
I'd love to see how that turns out. I'm thinking that well.
And you see what's broken in that moment. What's broken is finally broken is the relationship, the covenant between rabbi and student,
right?
Nicodemus and Shmuel, and the covenant between brothers, which is Shimon and Shammai, all being broken down for other things, for their own purpose, their own intention, their own fear. And the last bit, I've never thought of it this way. I think it's absolutely brilliant. The matching of the Beatitudes with the disciples.
Oh yeah.
That was just
as he was going through that, I was like, that's right out of the Gospel of Matthew, and Matthew's the one that's taking the dictate. I wonder if there's anything to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then I thought, yeah, that's right out of. I watched Godspell years ago, which is based on Matthew, and it's all right there. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are the holy.
Yep.
Like when that's out of Matthew, and that's the one bit of the Bible I do know, which. But and then Matthew's the one taking it all down. I knew it had to be related somehow.
Yeah, so well done. So well done.
Jenkins he's amazing.
Yeah.
He's a good actor. So I really enjoyed him.
The Matthew actor.
All of them.
Yeah. I looked up Jonathan Rumi plays Jesus. He's from New York City, but his father's Egyptian and his grandparents are from Israel or something like that. So he's got some background, but he's playing that part. I don't think there's anybody who could play it better.
Yeah, they really got the right guy. Absolutely. Just brilliant. And so right, so spot on with these different points, bringing out these different points in the scripture.
Because the source document doesn't really, it has explanations, but you really have to read into it to make an hour-long TV show.
I think we have.
But over thousands of years of interpretation.
Yeah, I think we've neutered out all this inference. You know, we really have sterilized the gospel to be just the words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and taken this humanity right out of it. So seeing this for the
That's true.
first time is just really wonderful.
Having to put it right back in as it was probably intended way
Yeah.
back then.
I won't ever think of I can't think of the interactions now in the gospel and the way I used to.
Mm.
Can't do it. And thank God.
Mm.
It's much fuller now than it was before, just by adding the infants. Man. Well, all right.
Just humanizes the whole thing.
Whew. So we'll do next week, we get together, we'll do the second half of episode 8, season 2. And that will bring us to the end of the finale of season 2. And then we'll wait after Advent to pick up with season 3 when it comes out in 2023. So
Okay.
one more week. I promise next week I won't forget the word zealot.
Okay, I couldn't think of it either.
I got cat on the brain, I think is what's happening.
Well, that's a good excuse. Yeah.
That's it. I'm gonna leave right now and go back and check her and see how she's doing. So God bless you guys. Have a wonderful,
Okay.
wonderful night. You want me to leave the Zoom
Yeah.
room for a few minutes? Are you okay?
We had some time earlier. I think we're good. Are you
Yeah.
good, Mom? I think I'm good. I said everything I could think of.
Yeah.
Well, have a wonderful night. I'll see you on Sunday.
Okay.
You too. All the best to your cat and to everybody else.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.